Hey, you doing? Good morning. This is Ujjval from Geo-Negative Institute. Basically, myself, the informational house of knowledge and physics and philosophy and religion and politics. Politics is seemingly unavoidable, especially when you have so much spat going around. Um, so, we could begin with. I usually do two books always because I like to mix it. Not just science, but spirituality, because I know both topics. Um, I'm a I'm a teacher. Okay, so here we go. We're just gonna randomly try to do that again. Oh wow, how women create. These are fun topics, right? Women then have the triple negatives, foundation orifices, in their body are able to produce life with the same triangular distinction in the lower space functions. Both actions, the ending particles are pushing out, and the function of the middle also disposes, but mainly is functioning to import or incept. The urethra and anus are set to push out mainly. Anus is large thruster, and by this negative space context, the process of life is set, meant to breathe and cycle. Thus, the human body is a negative context by nature. It negates food by consuming, disposes of it, negating it once again. We don't take food and marvel at it or sustain by keeping it alive. We use it by consuming it and finding resolve in its nourishment. The lack of bowel movement is certainly a problematic strenuous disorder to the body's natural system. It also shows the body is on a negative too, as it thrives and needs to evacuate waste from the used energy. So, this basically is explaining the process of passing stool. All animals do. I was actually thinking about this today because it's like you eat a piece of food, right? That's usually like it's let's say something put together, and then you eat that, and then you usually pass out something that's put together, and sometimes the food that you even eat is less than that because previous things you ate or something like that, or sometimes you're passing out bile or something like that. So basically what's happening is we living on negation. Without that passing, we can't have new come in. So the body is reliant on the negative process. This is another way the GNA is proved, because if you don't negate your cell, let's say your food, eventually you won't be able to put more in. Eventually you'll have to stop. So that's why it's such an important thing to have a clear bowel function. And it's actually so many diseases are stemmed from that. They stem from from such things, from lack of bowel movement, or eating too much foods that don't have natural antioxidants, like fruits and vegetables, for instance. People, they don't have the right, let's say, chemicals in them to evacuate properly, and sometimes they get less of hunger, which could work out in their favor if they want to be skinny, but that's not necessarily healthy. So you'll see actually a lot of people, they're very thin and stick figure, but they don't look healthy. They actually look either out of it, or because they're doing austerities, believe it or not. And one of the austerities is like that. They have bad bowel movements. Somehow or other, they figure out how to trick up their system, or they eat very so often. So either or. If you eat less, actually, that's not too bad for you. It depends on your lifestyle after that. What you do, if you take a lot of drugs, you have a lot of sex, then that would weigh you down. If you don't eat a lot, let's say, or if you drink or something. So it's about finding balance with the body. And so I'll keep on going a little bit. The negation of the body internalized shedding. It seems like nothing, but actually it constitutes almost the entirety of who we are. What we put in our body, and it replaces what we put before as bile and blood. The mounting results within. The rectum is so essential in this matter to allow the cycle of life in all respects as it functions through there. Why these orifices are prime in the body's daily function is as we describe them. The engine of the body. The body thus drives on urges of the lower orifices being the engine, yet also having purpose, and that's to eat and relieve its non-absorbed intake. Some are driven on sex drive, and this is understood from a previous scientific text explaining things we can't fully see, as I'm attempting here, which is the famous Bhag, ancient doctrine of the Eastern culture accepted by theologians to hold scientific value, references being valued by theologians. So I reference the Bhagavad Gita there because Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the human being, all of this is running from sex desire. I think I explained that recently on a tweet. But mainly people are running because they want to have some kind of sexual, let's say, interaction. So they're doing that for their home. That's the first thing that they're considering. Let's say most of the time, in a lot of decision making in this world, you'll see it's centered around that. How people think, how they act, what they say in politics, what they say on TV. There has some censorship around that. You understand? Like, otherwise, men would just act like barbarians and be like, oh, I'm stronger than you, and I'm this, and be cruel to each other. Who could be the most cruel? And because, and then things wouldn't happen. So then the women come in and they make things, smooth and, censored in that sense, right? So the mother is not only censoring as the child, but she's also censoring in society. That's what that proves. And so this idea of the existential flow of the, let's say, the body is that it's running on a negation rostrum, right? So the engine of the body it has to evacuate, just like a car. Everything here has to have some exhaustion because energy is coming in and it needs to escape whatever part of it may be air or pressure. Now, if you can't reuse that pressure, then it has to escape, and that's how cars are made. Cars are kind of made like humans, but they should have seen that system and said, "Hey, I could re-loop it, and make that the exhaust even the intake." That's something that I was trying to do with a faucet one time. And I was in California. I was working for a faucet company, and I was trying to make a water system that kind of like re-looped itself and basically gave its energy back to the water. Because when water is coming through the pipes, it's not getting the light, it's not getting nourishment. So the idea was to make the faucet put that back in through a re-looping process, and in which it would go through a stage of being hit with like electrodes, and then it would come back out and be hit with like a new device that I was going to create, which basically puts light back into water. Like, there's a difference when you drink water from a stream or you drink water from a tap, right? So that's basically what I was trying to reinstitute. So let's go now to the Bhagavad Gita. So now we understand a little bit of that. And the Bhagavatam, right? So we're doing the 10th canto, part 1. This is about Krishna. It's very interesting. I feel that maybe it's a little high for this class, but it's good to know about Krishna because he is the best. So we got just a little smaller one here. It's also a 10th canto, though. Alright, so we're going to go. Ooh. So it says, Eva Metan Mahabhagha Gita Vadasi Dehinam Agyana Prabhavaham Dihi Svapareti Bidayataha. O great personality, Kamsa, only by the influence of ignorance does one accept the material body and bodily ego. What you have said about this philosophy is correct. Persons in the bodily concept of life lack in self-realization, differentiation in terms of this is mine and this belongs to another. Shokaharsha Bhayadvisha Loba Moha Madanvitaha Mitogunan Tam Na Pasyanti Bhaver Bhavam Patagdrshaha. Persons with the vision of differentiation are imbued with the material qualities of lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy, greed, illusions, and madness. They are influenced by the immediate cause which they are busy counteracting because they have no knowledge of the remote supreme cause, the personality of Godhead. So this really, really explains society today. And this is another thing that I thought of not too long ago. And it's interesting how these are coming up. It's almost like a prelude because, they could see, the Holy Spirit could see ahead of us. So this is a prelude. And basically, everything is done automatically by the laws of material nature, which works under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no question of doing anything independently. For one who has put himself in this material atmosphere is fully under the control of the nature. Our main business, therefore, should be to get out of this condition of life. So this verse is saying, so basically Kamsa was this crooked king. And here we have someone speaking to him. And Kamsa, oh you fool. And Vasudev. So Vasudev came in. This was the father of Krishna, Devaki Vasudev. Was the first father of Krishna. So Vasudev was the brother-in-law of Kamsa. So Kamsa just had the aerial voice say, Krishna's going to kill you. He's taking birth, and you're going to die. You think you're being bad? Wait till you die. And then he goes, he puts his sister in jail and Vasudev, and first he's going to kill them. And then Vasudev is speaking to him. And that's what Vasudev told. Vasudev told, telling him knowledge. His brother-in-law, he's, kicking the Vedas. Kicking in his ear. And that's what he's basically telling him. And I was thinking about this recently. Because the bodily everybody here is ready to cheat each other, which is the ultimate mistake. Because why? They want to be ahead of others. They want to, even if they don't realize it, that's such a small enjoyment. Like you enjoy that maybe in a day for half an hour or something, right? Or you go up somewhere and you tell everybody, oh, I got more than you. Oh, I got over you. It's such a flickering, the real enjoyment would be seeing somebody prosper and gaining from, the societal cause or the societal money, right? Then you would say, okay, then this system works. It's for everybody. So this is what this is saying. He's saying that this world, everybody has a bodily ego. And if you're lacking self-realization, you're going to think that this belongs to you and that belongs to another. When really, nothing here belongs to us. So we have to find that. And then the next verse clearly says that. So it says, because they have no knowledge of the supreme cause of personality. So because they have no knowledge of the supreme cause, right? And of what God is trying to do with us here. They think like that. This is mine, that is theirs. Okay? We have to protect what's ours because we own everything, whatever it is, right? And they own that, and they have to, so we have to take also that. Some people think like that, So that's not what we're here for. So this is what that's saying. Devaki's telling Kamsa, the brother-in-law, that's not what we're here for, Kamsa. You're getting in trouble because you want to take everything from everybody. You want to be corrupt. You want to even take from the holy. You're an evil demon. He's not telling him that, but that's what he's really saying. And he's telling him that, because you're corrupt, this is happening. And you're focusing on the material world. So if you don't focus on the material world, right, and you imbue the spirit of what God is really making here by understanding the sastra, the scriptures, or the holy sadhus, and you understand that, then you'll have a chance to overcome this material world. Because the material world is designed that it puts a lot of grandeur in our faces. Now you see people here, they have all this material opulence. A lot of them did things in their last life for it. They didn't just get that. They act like they did, right? They act like God just picked them, like God just said, hey, you, boom, take that. Because you're great. You look good. No. Even their looks, they did something for that in their previous life. So don't be mistaken. When people are, they have a lot of opulence. Now, they don't have to do the wrong thing with it. A lot of them are doing that. They believe the capitalist protocol is to keep taking money from society and leaving people with nothing. They think that's the protocol, and that's a really messed up thing, and it's messing everything up. But now what that's saying is that that's false, because there's an actual underlying principle in this creation. And it's not to think that everything belongs to you and everything belongs to them. That belongs to them and everything belongs to you, whatever it is, right? That's not the understanding of what you're supposed to be doing here. Okay, just collecting money to enjoy something you already enjoyed. You know, people, they enjoy the same thing they enjoyed when they were a teenager, right? They had, girlfriend or boyfriend. They indulged, right, the first time. They broke their virginity, and then they keep on doing the same thing the rest of their life for 50, 70 years, right? And then they never think, hey, maybe there's another enjoyment. Some of them never think that, unfortunately. They make it closer to God, but they don't really go there for enjoyment. They go there for prayers and keep my arrangement over there good, So that's the thing. This is saying that no, that's not the course of this life. That's not what we're here for. And we have to try to understand that. We're not here for that. We are here to be tested if we can go further in our soul. Understand? Our soul is the purpose here, right? The actual thing, the driving spirit is the soul. So we're trying to save this little soul in our heart that we can drive it to the next body, which is better than this. Or we're going to go down, which is worse. So if you use your mundane wealth for bad things, or you just use it to rob others of theirs just to get more of the same thing you have, chewing on the chewed, then you're a fool for number one. And not only that other that you're going to get, now you're implicated in sin, in karma, and you're making somebody suffer because you took from them. Whether you went to the Amazon and you shot someone, or you stole Ujjval's intellectual property, or you stole from the Latino communities, and you robbed them for their goodness and their constraint. You put drug dealers there. Whatever you did, just to involve yourself in more money, it was foolish because you're chewing on the chewed, and you're trying to apply a pressure that doesn't exist. You're saying, I'm going to control these people because now I can control their money. They don't really think about you in the day. They think about you, where can I make a little money? That happens over and over. Either they work or they don't. But they go on with their day. They don't think about you at all, actually. So you're wrong. You're not controlling anyone. You're just stealing from them. Okay, you're making it harder for them, which in return will make it harder for you later. Because this is not the end. Your soul will go on. And many people have quoted and said that energy is infinite. It's eternal. So you won't die. You think it's the end, but you're going to have to pay for all that. The universe does not make mistakes. And the universe doesn't let the culprits go, and then the good people have to suffer. It doesn't work that way. So the universe will come back for you. That's the sure. And that's what he's trying to tell Kamsa. The brother-in-law is trying to say, this world, if you get caught up with these things, then this is what's going to happen here. This is going to be your fate, But it's not because you're a bad person or God's singling you out, right? Well, it's not because you're a bad person, but it's not because your soul is bad. You're not inherently bad. You're actually good. Now you done dumb things, you done bad things. Now you don't have to keep doing those, Kamsa, because after all, there is a plan with God. And if you only want to be foolish and just say, I have my plan, I have to protect my way, when meanwhile, that's impossible. You will have to die. You will have to change bodies. Your whole arrangement will have to change. And you don't know what that is. What if I'm right? What if your karma comes and it hits you down so badly that you're in the worst situation ever? You're paraplegic in a horrible place and you have to suffer for 10 years like that before you just die. You don't know what could happen to you, and you're in some crazy country in a horror. I don't want to make a name because then I'll be, but yeah, and you're super poor and your family's broken up before you're even 2 years old, and so many horrible things could happen in your next life. So don't put all your eggs in a basket and say, what, it's not going to happen to me because my religion said so, and we're not going to reincarnate, and you just don't know. First of all, you can't explain this creation without reincarnation. You can't explain why you're you and I am me. We have different karma. We have different knowledge, different, everything has come from us, according to our environment and what we're given karmically. You understand? Something we did in our previous lives is applying what we're doing now. So I hope this makes you understand things a little bit more clear in this world. and this is the Kamsa and the rostrum. How do how women have babies? They have a triangular thing in the bottom, which is like the urethra and the anus and the vagina is up here. It's like that. It's a triangle actually, like kind of like my gems, right? Triangle. So the urethra, the anus, and here's the vagina, the uterus. So they make a triangle, and by that triangle, right, which is also called a trillion in Joule term, they're making life. Believe it or not, because they're not only providing the space in the rostrum for the penis to go in and make and inseminate, but there's also there's a double negative there, because there's also a negative between the other two orifices, the anus and the urethra. So it's actually a double negative. That's how life is created. And I'm going to write that down right now before I even put this up. And you guys have a good day.